Good morning, my peaches and plums. How are we? Coming at you from Cornwall today. I thought I'd put a video together just going through how we can better our squat form, and if you're struggling with squats, how we can help you just build up your strength so that you can then carry out and execute a squat properly, and then maybe start to encourage some different modifications or weights. So got my microphone on today, so I'm going to try and speak nice and clearly. But okay guys, so squats. Do you struggle with your squats? Are you put off from doing squats because you can't do it properly? I see people do squats in various different ways which aren't correct. They're not modifying it, they're struggling. Okay, so I'm just going to take you through a couple of examples of what I see people doing when they're carrying out squats incorrectly. So if you are struggling with hip mobility, tight calves and hamstrings, or you're struggling with your ankle mobility, then when you go to squat, it's a high chance that you're perhaps going onto your tiptoes. Keeping your feet flat on the floor is what's going to bring that whole engagement down the back of your leg. So if you've got really tight sciatica, or your hamstrings and calves are really tight, then it's going to be really difficult for you to execute this properly. So if you find you're coming down into a squat like this, not okay. You're actually, when you go down and push up from your squat, you need to be pushing through the ball of your foot. So if your ball of your foot isn't actually on the floor, you're going to be pushing through your toes, so you're going to be putting pressure on the alternating parts of your body, which is like your back and your quads. And that's not really what we want. It's not the whole purpose of a squat. So the other thing I'll see people doing is they're not actually squatting down. So there's not really much bending motion in the knees. They're more bending at the hips and sort of doing this. Their body's coming forward. When we squat, the flexion is at the knee. It's that knee that needs to bring our booty to the floor or in a seating position, and then pushing up through the heel, which is going to engage our glutes and get us back up again. So if you feel like you're probably doing squats that way and you're a little bit unsure on how to build up your strength in order to do them properly, I can show you a few exercises today and a few warm-ups. Now, when I first started doing these at home, I was exactly the same. I really struggled. I was doing squats very much like this, and I didn't feel like I had a very strong back or a strong core. So again, if you can build up your core strength, that's also going to aid you in being able to carry out a squat better, because if you've got that core engagement, then your back is going to be in line, and then you're going to have the perfect form for a squat, which essentially is like this. So we want our bum and our chest to rise at the same time. We don't want our bum to come up before our chest. It's got to be raising at the same time. Okay? So a warm-up rather, that I use still to this day when I go to the gym, every warm-up if I'm doing lower body, is this one. Okay? So it's where you'll sit in that lunge position. And what we're going to do is, instead of doing this one, which is normally going to be opening up the inner thighs and stretching the hip flexors, you're actually going to bring your foot a little bit closer towards you. So when you fall down into this stretch, your knee is going way over the toe. So you can see that the knee is going way over the toe. And I'm at my maximum point of flexion at the ankle. Like, I physically can't go anymore. Like, you can't bring your toes to your shin. That'll look a bit freaky. So we've got this one here, and it would just be a matter of just sitting back. So you've got that weight on the ankle, and you're just going to sit. And it will be done like a stretch. So you can hold it for 6 to 8 seconds, and then go over and stretch the next one. Then we have the squat sit. So I did show this in my first video. So this is where you're going to have your feet at a complete parallel line, and then we're going to sit in it. So the whole purpose of this, again, this is really good for hips as well. I mean, it's ankles and hips, a lot of hips, I'm not going to lie, but it's good for ankles as well, especially if you incorporate this little rocking motion. So again, as you can see, my knee is being extended over the toe. So that's where I'm getting that really good flexion in the ankle. So that's another really good one. And then, as I said in my lunge tutorial video, if you're struggling having this parallel line, then you can just bring your feet at a slightly more diagonal angle in front of you. You're still going to have the knee flexion. You're still going to have that flexion when you are stretching, but it's just a little easier to sit like this rather than like this. Another great tip. So we've got those few exercises that we can do. There's tons of them. But it was mainly, I just wanted to focus more on squat form today. So when I was teaching my daughter on how to do squats at home, she was doing this. So where she wasn't really squatting at the knee, she was kind of doing this. I guess because she was scared of doing that because she was going to lose balance. So when you're carrying out a squat, you ideally want your feet to be parallel, in line with the shoulders. But you can actually try a sumo squat, so which is where you're going to spread your feet out over a wider foundation. So you're giving your body more balance. I wouldn't advise having feet forward because, as you can see, due to the wide stance, my knees are struggling to go over my toe, and I'm also creating this arch in my foot. So if you're going to do a sumo squat, you need to have your feet pointing out diagonally. Similarly to a lateral lunge, where you're striving to get your knee over your toe, we're not falling inwards. We don't want the knees to depress. We need to exert them over the toe. So if you carry out a squat like this, you'll find that it's a lot easier because you've got more balance and you're able to carry your body over a wider stance. So it's generally just easier. One more tip as well. When I first started doing squats with the chest and the bum coming up at the same time, quite often I tuck my chin, so I do this. That's okay. It's not the end of the world to tuck your chin. But if you're tucking your chin, your body's going to lean forward because your line of gravity, you're looking down, so your body's going to be tilting. So if you try and look up in your squat, but also keep your arms outstretched in front of you at the same level as your shoulders, that's going to keep your chest upright. It's going to force your body to stay upright. If you look down, you're still going to be coming up in line with your chest. Do you see what I'm saying? Because I've engaged the shoulders now. The top of my back are now up. They're engaged. We're not down. We're up. So that's what's going to encourage your chest to stay upright and in line. So that's another really good tip for you. Another great way where I thought I could help Skylar with getting down into her squats and keeping her chest upright while obtaining balance was by creating a counterbalance for her. You can tell a lot of people to keep their arms upright, but depending on your back strength and how much their back is actually retracted back, because if you depress your shoulders, that's depression. If you depress your shoulders like that, then your arms are coming down. If you retract your shoulders, shoulder blades, and come back, your arms are automatically out in front of you, in line level with your chest. It's just the dynamics of the body. As well as doing this one, it was to hold something out in front of her. Now, obviously, depending on how big you are, strong you are, tall you are, you can use a little bit of weight, like maybe like a small plate or a very light dumbbell. But with Skylar, I just gave her like a big jump. I think she had one of her teddies actually. So what she was doing is she was holding it out in front of her, and then she was going down into her squat. And so by doing that, she had a counterbalance. So then we can look up, squat down. Okay, so that's really the basics when it comes down to squatting. So I would work on core, don't neglect your core. Work on your ankle mobility, work on your hip mobility, and try a couple of those examples that I tried for you today, so that I explained for you today. So have feet in a wider stance so that your balance is carried out over a wider foundation. And then try out with your arms outstretched so that you're keeping your back aligned and you're forcing your body to stay in this nice straight form as we go down into our squat. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you like and subscribe and keep posted for more fitness tips.